everyone, it's Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Equine Sanctuary. Today's video is going to be on behavior modification. If your animal is doing a behavior that you don't want them to do, instead of focusing on the behavior that you don't want and how to stop them from doing the unwanted behavior, the best thing to do is to focus on what you would like the animal to do instead. For today's video, we're going to work with my Norwegian elk hound Monroe on a behavior that he was doing that revolved around feeding time and what I did to solve that issue. The issue was mine, the issue wasn't his. From Monroe's point of view, he was doing exactly what he should do to get to his food as quickly as possible and reap the reward. But from my point of view, it was an issue because his behavior was going to potentially harm him. He was running in to eat so quickly and turning corners so quickly that I was afraid he was going to hurt himself, and he damaged some of our furniture sliding into it. Inara's behavior here is exactly what Monroe was doing, but he was doing it 10 times worse, and she's the next one we're going to work on these exercises with for sure. I want you to remember as you watch this video that all of these principles I'm going to show you that involve modifying Monroe's behavior can be applied to any animal species. The key is just to think of the behavior that you're not happy with and what you can have the animal do instead. And then you need to figure out, how can I get the animal to do something different instead of this behavior? That might mean that you have to think about how that particular animal views the world, how they see the world, and what are the best learning modalities for that species. You also need to think about what that animal values so that you can come up with an adequate reward in order to get them to modify their behavior. I hope that you find this beneficial, and I want to thank you in advance for your time and for watching today. This is the behavior that we as humans are doing that initially gets the dogs who are waiting outside for their food excited about what's about to happen. They start to hear us getting the bowls out of the cabinet. They come up to the door to listen more intently, and then as they realize that the food is being placed in the dishes, and believe me, these are sounds that they can all hear from the outside, they get even more excited and they start doing various behaviors out in their yards. You see Monroe here running the fence and some other dogs running the fence on the other side next to him. You see other dogs that are quietly and relatively calmly waiting on the porch to come in and eat, and some are just walking around. All of these behaviors that precede them getting to come in the house and eating, they find reinforcing because they're associating whatever behavior they're doing now with eventually coming in the house and getting a food reward. The issue I was having with Monroe, from my point of view, remember this wasn't an issue from his point of view because he was getting to his meal as quickly as he possibly could, which was obviously rewarding for him. But my issue with it was that when we would start getting the meal ready, Monroe would get extremely excited outside of this door, and as soon as we would open it, he would blast inside, he would slide across this slick floor, he would turn this corner so quickly that his back end would slide out from under him, and he would slide into everything over here. And prior to us having this freezer here, we had a bookshelf here, and on numerous occasions he knocked everything off the bookshelf, and these dog beds flew across the floor, and he would run down the hallway, and then he would turn this other corner as fast as he could. And sometimes he would wipe out again, although not as often because this is carpeted, and he would run over here to his kennel and he would start eating as fast as possible. And we feed Monroe out of a slow feeder dish, part of his kibble, and then the rest of his kibble, along with some treats to keep him active after he's finished his meal, are in a Kong or a barnacle toy or some type of food dispensing toy. We have various different ones. Today he's getting a barnacle toy. And then by that time he would be so tired that he would rest for a while after eating. Well, what I started to do was make him do different behaviors on the way to his feeding pen. And I thought I would do this using high value food rewards, high value treats. some of the hard treats that we give them, some of the soft treats that we give the dogs, or even some turkey. However, I discovered that those things weren't of value to Monroe. They were of value to him, but they weren't as valuable to Monroe as his regular kibble. So what I initially started doing was trying to have Monroe do a series of exercises from the door to his kennel, which involves sits and downs and stays and waits and some heeling using treats, what I thought were high value food rewards. He was not as engaged with those treats as he was thinking about his kibble being in his pen and getting here as fast as possible. So I had to modify my behavior again. So now I take his whole bowl with me to the door. I take his Kong or barnacle toy or whatever it is that I happen to be giving him the rest of his kibble in for this day to the door, because I found that his regular kibble is of higher value to him than the treats that I was trying to give him when I initially started trying to modify his behavior. Now we're going to bring Monroe in, and we're going to go through this hopefully 3 times so that I can show you how I initially started this process, which was lots of pauses in between this door and his kennel. And then there was an intermediate phase when he started to get better and I made him pause less frequently, to where we're at today, which is basically him heeling next to me until he gets to a pause station in the other room and then goes to his kennel. So the first step was making him sit outside the door, which, because we've been doing this for months now, he's already sitting outside the door. So I call him in. Monroe, come in, sit here. And I have him wait here, Monroe, sit, so that I can close the door and I make sure no other dogs come in after him. Wait. Monroe, come. Sit. Good. Come. Monroe, come back here. Sit. Wait. Monroe, come. Sit. Wait. Monroe, come. Sit. Wait. Monroe, come. Here. Monroe. If during the exercise or during the routine, the dog misses a cue or doesn't do the exact behavior that you asked for, don't panic. Just reset and ask him to do it again. Don't move on until he's completed the behavior that you wanted in the first place. Row table. Sit. Yes. Down. Monroe, down. Good. Wait. Good boy. Then about halfway through his training, I would just let him come in the door and sit here. I would tell him to wait. Wait. Monroe, come. Call him all the way to here now. Wait. Monroe, come all the way down the hall. Good. Wait. Table. So now we've taken some steps out and kennel. Yes. Good boy. All right. Sit. Now where we're at today, we're a lot further along, and I don't make him do all those pauses on the way to his food. I do make him sit inside the door so that I have time to close it. And then we walk. Monroe, come slow. Monroe. Good. Good. Monroe. Wait. Good. All right, let's go. Good. And table. Sit. Yes. And kennel. And sit. Nice job. Good boy. So as you can see, oh, Violet, I need to reward Violet for being a good girl. There you go. As you can see, Monroe's very motivated by his food dish and his regular kibble. I tried to start that exercise using turkey, using soft or hard treats, using actual things that dogs usually find rewarding, but he was so focused on his bowl and his kibble, that's what I ended up using to modify his behavior. And so we went from him zooming in the house, running around corners, wiping out, and crashing into his kennel, to him slowly pausing along the way, to now being able to slowly walk with me. And basically I just make him do a couple of pauses, and that depends on his mood. If he's super excited on a particular day, I may throw in more pause exercises along the way. If he's being very calm, then we might only have him sit inside the door. And if he can stay calm all the way to his pause table, then we just bring him right to the pause table. But the purpose of this exercise was to get him to get a little bit of control over his impulses, for him to not run in here so freakishly quick, because I was literally afraid he was going to hurt himself. I didn't like his behavior. He was fine with his behavior because he was getting to his food very quickly. I didn't like his behavior because it caused chaos and it was dangerous physically for him. And so I had to modify my behavior in order to get him to do something different than what he was doing. And it's worked out beautifully for us. Everybody, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. I hope that this has been helpful and that you've learned some tips that you can use to modify the behavior of your own animal if they're doing something that you have an issue with. Please remember not to focus on the negative. Please don't focus on how to stop getting the animal to do the behavior that irritates you. Focus on what you can teach the animal to do in place of the behavior that's aggravating you. Make it fun, make it positive, make it rewarding for that animal, and they will start doing the new behavior instead of the old behavior that was driving you nuts. I also want you to remember that these principles of training and behavior modification will work on any species. I use these same principles with my snakes, with my horses, and with other animals that I work with here at the Animal Sanctuary. If you have any questions about training or behavior, please do not hesitate to contact me at behavioreducationllc@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or you can find me through the Behavior Education Facebook page, or the Spirit Keeper Equine Sanctuary Facebook page, or the websites that each of those organizations have. I don't want you to get frustrated with your animal's behavior, because that isn't going to be good for you or the animal. When we get frustrated, when we get irritated by their behavior, we tend to get angry and we tend to take it out on them. Please take a deep breath. Think about the behavior that you want to change in your animal and what you can teach them to do in its place that is not going to irritate you, and that's going to be something fun and positive for your animal, so that you can move forward with a healthy relationship and a tranquil household. Thank you again for your time. Everybody, please remember to be kind and love your animals.